Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our YouTube training. In today's training, we'll be exploring the exam guide for the IIM Certified Data Protection Officer examination. Now, the mock exam has been sent to participants. I believe you've taken out time to go through the mock exams. It's very important you go through the mock exam so that you understand how the interface looks like. And there are some settings you need to do on your system to be able to take the exam seamlessly. So if you have issues navigating the mock exams, I think there's a contact on that email you can reach out to. The primary aim of this YouTube training is to ensure that people who are taking this exam understand some tips so they don't go to the exam without having this knowledge and find it a little bit challenging. So let's get started. My name is Daniel and I'll be your host for this session. So you're free to drop your comment or questions on the chat box if you have any question or any comment. Okay, so now one of the things you need to understand is the general instructions, which means there are some certain things you need to know. One of which is you have to ensure that when you are taking this exam, you are in an environment where the light is adequate. So you have to be in an environment where the light is adequate because the system will want to take a screenshot of your face to be able to authenticate that yes, the person who is taking this exam is actually that person sitting for the exam at that particular time. Also, you have to ensure that you have some form of identification, like a NIN slip or maybe a driver's license, to be able to show that yes, the person who is taking the exam is actually the person taking that exam. So your NIN slip would also be required. Also, you have to ensure that you avoid using your mobile phone as your hotspot because incoming calls may disrupt the connection. And alternatively, you may have to put your phone on do not disturb mode if you intend to use your mobile device as your internet connection. You also need to check your laptop battery and also be in an environment where you have a backup power supply so that your laptop does not fail you. And if you're using a desktop, you also need to have a form of power that will give you uninterrupted supply so you don't have to start again when the system goes down. And don't click on the submit button until you have thoroughly reviewed and answered all the questions. Okay, so now there are some topics that, having gone through the mock exam, are very important. One of which is the fundamental principles of personal data processing. So, from the questions that came out in the mock, most questions had some similarity with the principles of data processing, talking about how data is stored, how it is shared, the legal basis of processing the data. So you need to look at that topic very well. You understand? Try to review that topic very well. Something else you need to look at is the rights of data subject, because some of the questions had scenario based instances where right to rectification, right to erasure, right to access was asked. So it's good you go back to the data subject right, try to study it, try to comprehend it, because it's part of some of those questions that kept coming up during the mock. Also, data protection impact assessment came out. Um, they also reference data privacy impact assessment. So questions from that scenario also played out. So managing third-party risk, there were scenario-based questions where third-party related questions were asked, and your knowledge on understanding the obligations of third-party vendors and obligations of data controllers was also assessed. So you need to understand that. Then another topic that was very important was the cross-border data transfer. It was very, very uh, common in the mock exam to see questions relating to cross-border data transfer. So you need to go back to this topic, review this topic. Now, also we had questions from emerging technology, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain. Questions came from that topic. So you need to look at that topic again, try to comprehend it. Then we also had the roles and responsibilities of data protection officer, where questions were asked, what should the DPO do in certain scenarios? So you need to understand the roles and responsibilities of a data protection officer. So these are some of the key details you need to know for the exam. First, the exam will commence March 1st. That has been fixed as the date. There will be two batches on that day. The first batch will start by 9:30 a.m. The second batch will start around 12:30 p.m. Now, you have 150 minutes for the exam, and if you've taken the mock, you know it's online and it's AI proctored. So you have to make sure that you don't stay in an environment that may lead to disqualification. So there should be no background noise. There should not be any form of interference from other people. Now, majority of the questions on the mock were scenario based. There were no true or false. There were no fill in the gap. However, it is being said that questions will come up with true or false, fill in the gap, scenario based, and your normal multi choice. So just have that at the back of your mind that this will likely be the format of the exam, though the mock was purely scenario based. So if you have any question, you can drop it on the comment section. I would also go through some sample questions from the mock so that we can just go through it. But you can drop your questions, you can drop your comment while I upload that document. Okay, so one of the questions that came out during the mock was, a public health agency collects data on disease outbreak. Under which basis can they lawfully process this data without individual consent? This was one of the topics we treated in the course of the training. So, of course, they've told you that consent should not be the answer by telling you that without individual consent. So, consent cannot be the answer. Now, vital interest and legitimate interest, including public interest, are possible answers. But the best of all the options is public interest. Because in scenarios like this, consent will not be required because such data collection will be in the overall interest of the country. In that regard, you can use public interest to process this data. So, public interest is the most appropriate answer. So, the next question is, which of these is a potential role of a data protection officer in a public institution? So, you have options like advertising services of the institution, setting privacy policies without oversight. So those two most likely are not the answers because you've already seen that it's out of scope. If you look at the next option, it says ensuring data processing activities comply with relevant laws. And if you look at the final option, it says collecting data for marketing without consent. So C will be the most appropriate answer. Then you also have a multinational corporation customer databases compromised due to an SQL injection attack, exposing sensitive information of thousands of customers. What is the first step the company should take to comply with data breach protocol? This was also another topic we treated in the course of the training, data breach. So now you have options like perform a data protection impact assessment. This is not the answer because this should have been done prior to the data breach. You understand? Then conduct a root cause analysis. It looks like the answer, but still may not be the most appropriate. Then notify affected customers immediately. See, still looks close to the answer, but the most appropriate answer is to curtail the breach to prevent further exposure. That's the most appropriate answer. So the first response to a data breach should be to curtail the breach. Yes, notifying customer is very important within 72 hours of becoming aware. Conducting a root cause analysis is also important, but the first and most important thing will be to curtail the breach to prevent further exposure. So some of these options may look close to the answer, so you have to take your time to be able to know which is the most appropriate. The next question is a social media company aims to improve ad targeting by processing user behavior data. What must they do to comply with data minimization? So, data minimization is one of the key principles. And what does minimization say? It says you should limit data collection to what is relevant. And if you look at the options, it says allow third-party access to all user data, which will contravene minimization principle. If you look at option 2, it says limit data collection to relevant ad-related data only, which is the answer. The other option says collect all user data regardless of necessity. That can be the answer. And retain data without an expiration policy is also not the answer. So to me, I feel those who have taken the mock should be able to go through the main exam without having difficulties because you've learned how to navigate. You've also learned some of the possible way the questions will appear. So it's really not a straightforward question, but if you've understood the subject, if you understood the topic, if you understood the question, you should be able to know the answer with ease. But that notwithstanding, you also have to take due care before selecting or submitting your answer. So another question that came out during the mock was a local restaurant reservation system is accessed by unauthorized users, exposing customer names and contact information. What should they prioritize? So you have options like review the security of the reservation system, notify affected customers, suspend the reservation system temporarily, offer free meals to affected customers. So offering free meal may sound good, but it's not the answer. Suspending this reservation system temporarily may be good, but not the most appropriate answer. The most appropriate answer will be to review the security of the reservation system to see where those cyber risk issues occurred from. You understand? So the next question is a company wants to implement automated decision making to screen job applicants. Which measure is necessary to assess risks to applicants' data privacy? So you have marketing analysis, annual budget review, employee satisfaction survey. Of course, the answer is DPIA, right? It's straightforward. It's DPIA. So another question is a pet grooming service accidentally discloses customer contact information online. What steps should they prioritize to manage the breach? So you have publicly disclose the incident, notify affected customers, remove the information from public view, offer free grooming service. So now you have to remove that information from public view so that the data breach does not escalate. So notifying the affected customer is important. Publicly disclosing the incident is also good at some point so that people don't suffer loss. but the most appropriate answer would be to remove the information from public view. Then another question is, a local gym mistakenly sends out email address to all members in a mass email. What action should they take? So suspend email communication, inform affected members of the disclosure, conduct staff training, issue a public apology. So it's to inform affected members. Yes, that would be the most appropriate. Because even if you suspend the email communication, people may still suffer loss if they don't know that this was done. You understand? So conducting staff training is also good, but that should be when everything has been settled, you know the root cause, and you can now use that to train your internal team. So another question is, a home automation company is building a system that collects data on household energy usage to optimize consumption. To address data privacy concern, what assessment should be performed before launch? So the answer is obvious, is DPIA. And this was one of the topics we treated in the course of the training. So another question is, a multinational corporation customer database is compromised due to an SQL injection attacking, exposing sensitive information of thousands of customers. What's the first step the company should take to comply with data breach protocols? So performing a DPI may not be the answer. Conducting root cause may not be the appropriate answer. Notifying affected customers, not really, but you have to curtail the breach. That should be your first action, to curtail the breach. So with all this being said, I would just advise that before you take this exam, please, the mock is going to be available from now till the 26th, according to IIM. Go back to your email box, try to go through the mock exam, get familiar with the question, have an alternative internet connection. And if you are going to be using your phone as hotspot, you know what to do. Put it on do not disturb mode, you understand, so that you don't have interference. Okay, so there are some questions. Someone says we're experiencing difficulties logging in with our credentials for the mock exam ahead of the main exam. How should we proceed? It is important for us to practice as you previously advised for the examination day. Additionally, most of us do not have laptop for the exam. Will there be option for us to use our phones as we did during the training? Well, this exam is based on a laptop because you need to have your webcam working. So the laptop you are going to be using should also have webcam. And this exam is not done by my company. We're only training facilitators. So if you are experiencing difficulties, send a mail to IIM through the mail that was sent to you for the exam. You understand? And we don't have options to provide laptop at the moment. You understand? So you have to look for a laptop that is working perfectly, have a good battery, and try to make sure that all those permissions, because the laptop should be able to grant permission for the webcam, for the microphone. So these are things you should test before the exams, so that it's not that first time you are going to the portal, you are now going for the exam and you are doing this and it's taking up to 30 minutes. So try to respond back to the email from IIM. They are the ones that are in charge of the exams. We are only facilitators. You understand? If there's any other question, you can also drop it. If there's any other question, you can drop it. If not, we can return back to our work. We just have to do this just as a complimentary service to make sure that all our candidates pass. And we wish you good luck. And if you have any difficulty, you can reach out to the team. We'll support you in any way we can. And don't forget, you have to take this mock to be familiar with the environment. It's very important. So thank you and